Hello YouTube. So in this video I'm going to be talking about why this particular mindset is killing your chances of becoming pain-free with an injury or with pain. Okay? Absolutely scuppering your chances. So I'm going to walk you through a really simple flow diagram and explain why this is one of the biggest barriers to most people recovering. It's not knowledge. It's not some weird thing like they're getting old. Or they're not doing the right method. It's very, very simple. So we've got a quick flow diagram here. We've got injury here, which is obvious. And then coming off injury, we have things that we need to fix to get better. So at the top, we've got sleep, nutrition, then we've got brain. So it's always as much of a brain injury as much as it is a physical thing. So actually teaching the brain to understand that pain in that area is a bad thing. The brain obviously becomes accustomed to the fact that you get pain in a particular area. If you've got an injury at your knee, it always assumes there is pain there, and that becomes a normal pattern. So we need to teach the brain to basically rewire the brain and teach it to actually load the injured tissue properly. That's half the battle. And then we've got the three other things that a lot of people talk about. So improving your movement, so your range of motion at the particular joint and just generally throughout the body. Then we've got strength, again, fairly self-explanatory, and plyometrics. You can break these three things down and make them way more complex than they need to be, but this is at the top level, the basics, okay? Then moving on, we have another little flow piece here. So sleep and nutrition, typically with most people, they are conscious of the fact that these two things are limiting their ability to progress with injury, or it's why they keep getting injured. Again, I'm not saying this is the main issue, but if you haven't got if you haven't got these basics nailed, sleep and nutrition, you are massively increasing your risk of injury, and I think most people do understand that, okay? These are the four, though, I feel like people are less aware of, so potentially unconscious with a lot of people. They understand roughly that there needs to be some form of exercise, and potentially like relearning with the brain, but nothing specific. So I feel like with most people it's a bit more unconscious, but the common theme between the conscious and the unconscious, both things under your control. All these things are things under your control: sleep, nutrition, and then doing effective rehab. So rewiring the brain, following a program that incorporates all these things. That is under your control, whether you choose to do it or not, okay? And that then feeds out into these two different directions. We've got trying the same thing at the top, which requires no pain, no sacrifice. What I mean by no, I don't mean pain in the physical sense, I mean it in the mental sense. So, you haven't got to try anything new, and therefore, you won't develop. That's what I mean by that. You try the same thing, you will get the same result over and over again. Again, this is not just applicable to rehab, it is applicable to anything in life. I'm not trying to be philosophical, but you get the idea. Moving down, trying something different. Why is this so hard for a lot of us doing anything new? Well, it requires mental pain, and it actually requires some form of sacrifice in the form of time, mental energy, physical energy, etc., etc. Which is why a very small proportion of the population are here, whether that be, with effective injury rehab, with, like getting in good shape, getting a six-pack, whatever it is. I'm not saying these are good goals to have. I'm just saying they are hard to achieve because it requires these things to get there. A lot of pain, a lot of sacrifice, having a lot of money. Again, I'm not saying that's important, but I'm saying goals that people set that are difficult, this is what is required. So if you have a very complex and long-lasting injury that's been going on for years and years and years, people that are telling you they've got a quick fix for you are lying to you, okay? They are lying to you. It is not as simple as doing one little thing, or very rarely is it that, okay? A lot of the time it is, again, it's more of a personal development thing than actually, understanding what to do. Because again, a lot of people in these situations have not got the basics nailed. So again, sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night, good quality sleep, nutrition, are you eating well? And then these are the four things people aren't conscious of, but it's a case of how long have you followed an effective rehab program for? Have you followed it for 2 weeks and then given up? All these things. Because if you've had an injury for, let's say, 6 months to a year or longer than that, it might take you 3 to 6 months to get back to being pain-free. It might take you a bit less, but in most cases it's going to be that amount of time, because you need to fix all of these things that have been going wrong for that amount of time. It's not as simple as giving you one exercise and it's going to fix everything, or having a massage every 3 weeks. It's not going to fix it. It's a much, not problem, but it requires a lot more effort than people think. This is demonstrated not at the highest sort of tier, but it's demonstrated very commonly in business, because obviously it comes down to, if you try something different and you get different results, you are this type of person. You are responsible for your actions. You understand that everything you do, you're responsible for, and you are willing to change and accept the fact you're wrong and make a different decision. Again, I'm not referring to rehab, I'm just referring to anything in life. And typically, this sort of person, trying the same thing over and over again, scapegoating. I am not to blame. With rehab, this could be loads of things here again. Sometimes this is justified. So, for example, ineffective rehab, but ones that definitely aren't is, I'm old. When the person's, early 30s or something, they keep getting injuries. I don't have time. Again, more excuses. And what I meant at the top tier, well, in business, if you own a business, you run a business, if you have this attitude, it's dire consequence, your business dies and it fails. So you are forced to come into this bracket. You're responsible and you grow. Probably a higher tier of like severity or consequence would be like in the army, in war. It is the highest tier of personal responsibility and self-accountability. Again, you're responsible for your actions. Understand you've done something wrong. Try something different and see if that works. We've got all these complex things up here, but at the end of the day, are you willing to try something different, or are you willing to do the same thing over and over again?